always right, and the person who coined that famous phrase is very wrong and probably a wish also a customer. I think if you're mean to retail workers, they get to yell back at you. Or at the very least, you get to tell them that they're mean and make them leave. You're mean! I've only ever encountered these kinds of people at work, and I've never seen them in the wild. But if I did, and I didn't have to keep my mouth shut because I didn't work there, then I would go right up to them and say,
I
"You're
agree
mean!"
with this kid. I think he's making a lot of
And then the other
sense.
time when this guy tried to shift drugs, I really took it to another floor. Nobody's coming in. It was me and my coworker Tony.
I'm
Tony
gonna
walks
see if
into
I
our
get
office.
reception in here. I lost my audience. They said, "This is unwatchable, Dr. Bass. Your shit's bogus. Your show's fucked up." And I was like, damn, that really sucks. Because I was in the mood to do a show, you know? I'm not always in the mood to do a show, but at least once a day. So like when I'm in the mood to do a show and then my show sucks, it sucks. I'm just like, fuck, I feel like doing a show and I can't because it sucks. So hopefully it doesn't suck. That's what I'm trying to do, is not suck. But I have a knack at sucking though. A lot of the times it's what I do. But it's only because it's part of the process, you know. It's not my end goal. That's not what that's not my end game to suck. No. I'm suck so I can get good, you know. But not good at sucking. Is it still suck? I need someone to show up and tell me, hey dude, this sucked or it doesn't suck. And if nobody tells me, then I'm just gonna not know. I'm not talking about content wise. I'm talking about sound quality. I'll get into the content after I know that there's sound. Is there sound? Nobody's here. I lost my audience. It was unwatchable. Come on, Dirty, where are you? Get back over here, Dirty Ketchup. What are you going to watch? Wits It, Gets It? Come on, dude. What's wrong with you? Where is that fucking Dirty Ketchup? Get your dirty ass over here, dude, and tell me if I have sound. Is it still unwatchable? Because if it's watchable, I'm gonna do my show in the laundry room. Because I'm closer to the thingamabobber, you know, the router. But if nobody shows up, then I'm not gonna do a show. I'll just not do a show because there's nobody watching. Maybe I'll just start talking about something and hopefully people show up. Okay, I was busy talking about how the moon is an old sun. And I can explain this pretty well if you want to hear my theory. It's a theory, but I think it makes more sense than anything else I've heard as far as what the moon is. Because the moon is a mystery. You have to admit that it's like, I mean, really, if we just have to look at it objectively, like if we just, or just in any instance, no matter how you look at the moon, it's mysterious. But if you're looking at it like with fresh eyes, the moon is a mystery. Because we see things in the sky, right? The sun it's pretty fucking obvious what the sun's purpose is. It provides life. It makes this all possible. It's our warmth, it's our light, it's our life. It creates growth and life, energy. It's like the source of life. It's, you know, it's like the centerpiece of our reality. The sun is pretty obvious what its purpose is. It's moving around up in the sky and it's doing what it has to do to keep us all going here, right? So there's no question as to what the fuck the sun's doing and why it's there. It's obvious. Okay, but now we got the moon. It's the same size as the sun, roughly. And if you look into this, you find out that the moon is doing the same thing as the sun. The sun, it makes a yearly path called the analemma. It's a figure eight, you know, and the big loop's always going to be in the part of the world that's further away from you. Like if you go out and do the analemma, say you're in the northern hemisphere, you know, for lack of a better word, the northern region, you're going to get the analemma. The little loop's going to be in the north, and the big loop's going to be in the south. But if it's location dependent, if you're in the south and you do the analemma, The big loop's in the north and the little loop's in the south. The big loop is just indicating the sun moving further away from you. So it's location dependent. It's not like there's a big loop in one of the other places. Because if you go to the equator and you do the analemma, it's a infinity symbol. It's a perfect. There's an equal sized loop in the north and an equal sized loop in the south at the equator, and you'll get the analemma. It's a perfectly even path. We're on this eternal path. It seems like this. It's just like perpetual energy, just cycling in, out, within, without, the toroidal system that we exist within. But so the sun's purpose is quite obvious, but it's interesting that the moon is the same size as the sun, and it's on a path that is the same path. I mean, it's the ephemeral, they call it, but it's making the same shape through the sky that the sun is making. So it's basically, I think the moon's closer. I think the moon is a dead sun, and I think when a sun dies, it loses its life force, and it goes cold and solidifies, and it slowly begins to sink out of the sky, really slowly, but it's still doing its circuit. But that's why the moon would be on a different cycle, because it's closer. But the thing is, the moon, the moon is a mystery. Like, what is the moon doing there? The sun's purpose is so obvious, but the moon, what the fuck? Why is there this thing up there? I mean, it glows, and it's beautiful or whatever to look at, and it helps. It's part of our clock system, so it's important in that way. But they say that it has, that it does the tides, but that's just fucking story time. They can't prove that. We don't know what it is. It's just this mysterious thing. To me, the moon looks spent. It looks weathered. It looks like its original purpose is not. It's no longer serving its original purpose. It seems like something that once used to serve a different purpose than it's serving now, which is not much of one. It's a mystery. The moon, the enigma, right? It's the mystery. Nobody can ever figure out what's a good story for what the thing is. Why is it there? Why would God make a realm that has this useless thing floating through the sky? Well, I think the moon is just a dead sun. Like the dead sun, the dead star, the Death Star, right? The dead sun. It looks just like the moon, the Death Star in Star Wars. I'm sure I'm not the only guy that's had this thought before. And the craters are just outpacks. It's where there was air escaping from the sun after it solidified, created these craters. Like if you had like a plasma type substance that was hot, it was bubbling and popping, and then it went cold immediately and just froze and solidified or whatever, it would have these little air pockets that would create craters on the surface. So the textured surface can be explained by my theory, and the fact that the moon lights up, it looks as though it's getting charged by the sunlight, because once the sun is gone, it still continues to glow wherever the sun is. So it looks like it's been charged up by the sun, and that would kind of make sense to me. If it's made of the stuff suns are made of, it's kind of like this porous sort of like plasma stuff, plasma moon. That's why it would absorb sunlight and glow for a little while, because it used to just glow. That's what it was originally for. It was just the sun, but it lost its life force. It went dark. What I think is interesting is that the moon, we know what the sun does. It provides light, warmth, life, growth. The moon does the opposite. The moon's light, when it does have its light that is borrowing from the sun, is like charged up. When the moonlight hits the earth, it's cold. It's the opposite of the sun. It's cold, and it causes decay and death. It's like the moon speeds up decay, like it causes things to decay faster. The moonlight is cold and it brings death. The sunlight is warm and it brings life. It's like the complete opposite of the sun, with its light. I mean, that's just so bizarre. It's like the yin yang. I mean, but I think it's just that it's a dead sun. That's what happens when a sun dies. It goes dark and solidifies, and it's still up in the sky making its circuit, the same path that it was on before. The ephemeral is the same shape as the analemma. And so it's like, that theory really kind of explains the moon. I mean, and then people are going to wonder, well, what is, this only works on a flat earth cosmology, but I think that the earth gives birth to a sun. I think we're on a second sun. I think the earth gives birth to a sun right from the navel of the earth. It pops out of the navel of the earth like the North Hole. There's a big hole in the middle of the earth. The water breaks. The place floods. The sun shoots out, breaks off its umbilical cord, and activates, pops up into the sky, and the whole life cycle begins. So I would think that when a sun dies, the earth gives birth to a new sun, second sun. And the sun is busy spawning souls, like our souls are sparks of life. Our soul is a spark of life. It's energy. It's spawned from the source, the soul. They call the sun the soul, S-O-L, the source of soul. If our souls are spawning from the sun, that's where the source of energy, our life force is energy. It's a spark of life. It's being drawn from the source, the soul, the sun. Every soul that's spawned on earth draws its soul from the sun. Every soul that's spawned leaves a corresponding sunspot where their soul used to be. The sunspots are where souls are being drawn from the sun. The souls, they live their lives, and when their physical body goes to dies and whatever and dissipates into the environment, the energy that was your life force does the same. It dissipates into the environment too. Energy doesn't disappear. It just gets pulled back to source, or if perhaps you were like a very bright soul, your soul was shining bright, you might go straight to heaven and become a star of your own. And the stars are just smaller lights in the sky up in heaven. There will be a star someday. The stars are smaller parts of the whole. The stars come from the sun. The sun spawns souls down here on earth, and we live our lives, and then our souls dissipate back into the environment after our physical body leaves. And the energy that was our soul will either get drawn back to source eventually, or go to heaven. It depends on how we play the game. I guess there's something to this life. We're being tested, and I think that to win the game, you have to go to heaven, basically. And when all the souls have gone to heaven, that sun, there's a finite amount of souls in that sun. When all the souls have spawned and they've all gone to heaven, that sun goes dark, and there's no more life force left in it. There's a finite amount, and so it'll solidify and become a plasma moon. And that's what it's a dead sun, and that's where all the stars are. All those stars up in the sky at night. Those are the souls used to inhabit that first sun that we had. And that's why there's ancient ancestors from people that live on Earth now that recall a time when there was no moon. That was when there was just the first sun up in the sky. There was no moon back then. But then when that sun was spawned out, it became the moon, and the Earth gave birth to a new sun. There's like a brief ice age between suns, I'd imagine, a dark age or whatever. And if people survived through that period, they would have had to have gone into the Earth. They would have had to have been living underground. There would have to be evidence of, like massive underground dwellings around the world, in which there is evidence of. And I would think that when a new sun is born, it would be quite a traumatic event for the world. I mean, it would be like a plasma event. Plasma would flash across the surface of the earth and melt all this ice, and there would be like a big shifting of, water. It would be like a flood, it would be like things would be left buried in the mud after everything was all settled back down. All the stuff that was here before would be left buried in mud and silt and fucking, and then life would begin again. The sun would continue to spawn souls. I think we're on our second sun, and I think that's what sunspots are. I think sunspots are the absence of souls that were drawn from the soul source, the sun. There's a little black spot on the sun today. That's where my soul was, up there. And is sun God? No. Is Israel? Is the sun God? No. It's just put there by God. The sun is just the soul source from which we've spawned our souls. The spark of life. It's light. It's energy. It can be witnessed. And when we die, we don't really die. We just transform. Our bodies go into the environment, and our soul dissipates into the environment too. There's energy flowing all around us everywhere. We live in a place of perpetual energy. It's like, that's what it is. That's what we are. I don't know why. I mean, I think God just had to create, consciousness had to create a place where there was time. Time had to be invented. There has to be time for consciousness to mean anything. Like if you have an eternal consciousness and there's no time, it doesn't mean anything. It's maddening, actually. It's just, there's no significance without time. So God had to create a realm where there's time that's passing. So there's significance. So this consciousness can subdivide and experience consciousness through different, just to create experiences and try to understand what consciousness really is. I think that's what God is just consciousness. I don't think there's a person sitting on a throne somewhere that's God. I don't think that's what happened here. Although I do think it's possible that we're living in a terrarium and that we're like part of an elaborate experiment where there's people, some higher entities that introduces a batch of humans every once in a while and resets the place. Maybe between suns when the light bulb needs to get changed or whatever. It's funny, I said that right when the light went out. That was interesting. See, that's synchronicity right there. That's God giving me a cue. Like, you know what? You're on point, Dr. Baz. You're on point. You got to change the light bulb. I think the 1800s are really be nice to. I want to make a presentation that where I can bring up a lot of really interesting points about the 1800s. For one thing, just the architecture that was taking place in every city, everywhere in the country, all at once, and just the brilliant engineering that was taking place by these humble people, our humble ancestors that were capable of engineering these brilliant palaces, for like the municipal government building. I mean, it's just incredible craftsmanship, and it really gets neglected in our historical, education. I don't remember hearing the part about how we were able to, you could just go down any town in the United States at the time and just have a competition in any town, like a competition who wants to design the Capitol building or the courthouse building, and there would always be some brilliant engineer that would. It was like this inherent knowledge that everybody had back then. And then, the cities would be beautiful, but then they would burn down. The Great Fire, you name your city, any city that's in the country, any big city had a Great Fire in the 1800s where it was just devastated, just brought down to just rubble, like all this stuff just ruined and burned down. Not many people died, which is odd. It's odd that like we could evacuate a burning city on horse-drawn carriages without alarms or without its standard like conventional like cautionary whatever systems we have today. Like you can escape a burning city in utter mayhem on a horse-drawn carriage without having any like alarm or like any sort of order. Like it's just complete mayhem, and people manage to get out of the city, no deaths. I mean, the stories don't add up really. Let's just take it at face value for a minute. So every city basically burned down in the 1800s, and it was rebuilt. And some of the buildings in the city burned down more than once, but like just to say at least once, every city burned down to the ground and it had to be rebuilt. That's not even exaggeration. That's pretty much what the historical accounts tell us. And they were left like a pile of rubble. Like it wasn't just like your average fire. Like it was a kind of fire that just left the whole city just completely razed to the ground. And so we had to build every city back. So we had to build every city twice in the 1800s, basically. And then, while all that was happening, we had these world fairs in just about every state, numerous ones. And the world fairs were a fucking huge endeavor where there was like acreage of like buildings that were being, they said they were temporary, but a lot of them were permanent. There's some of them that still stand today. They were like permanent mason buildings, like big stone structures, and apparently a lot of temporary stuff that got torn down. But I think the story isn't quite how they say. I think they use the world fairs as a means to be able to destroy certain buildings. They'd build a bunch of fake buildings around a bunch of really intricate buildings that they wanted to get rid of, and they would tear it all down after the fair and just kind of, like they'd get away with tearing down a bunch of really cool old buildings, like under the guise of like, oh, we're taking down the World Fair, like because I think they want to get rid of these old buildings. Really, I think that's what they want to do, and that's because there's still some of them burning down today as we speak. I mean, there was a old church in like in one of these, basilicas or whatever in Georgia recently that just burned down. I mean, these old buildings catch on fire. These old masonry buildings, I mean, they burn to the ground. It's pretty odd, if you ask me. But so these world fairs were coming up, and then they're temporary, you know. So the world fairs are these like acreage upon acreage, like mileage. You know, there's like a huge area where they build these massive structures, and they have millions of people that come visit it and go to the fair. And it would be, you know, the fair would take about a couple of years to build, but then it would be open for like maybe half a year to a year, and then they would tear it down. So they're busy building these massive fairs, tearing everything down. You know, it's like really time consuming and involved with materials, and it's like a lot of work while they're busy rebuilding and building their cities too, by the way. So they're doing the real, you know, they're doing a lot of building and tearing down and rebuilding during the 1800s. It just seemed to be the thing to do. I mean, and some of these buildings are no joke. I mean, they're massive stone structures, and to rebuild these buildings would have been a lot of work without a diesel engine or a truck, you know, or or like a legit way of like moving, you know, stones that like 20-foot thick stones they use for the base of these walls and some of these structures, like the fucking municipal building in fucking Philadelphia has a 20-something foot thick stone at the base of the wall because it's supporting fucking however many tons of masonry. I mean, they have these buildings engineered brilliantly. It's not child's play. It's fucking incredible. And I don't remember ever having that emphasized so much when I was learning about American history when I was growing up. Because I remember once I started looking into this, I mean, this is mind-boggling, man. And then it turns out these places don't have blueprints. There's no engineering schematics or anything. They tell you a cute little story about who the architect was. He's usually some 20-something-year-old kid who won a contest. I mean, it's like the recurring story. I mean, it's bullshit. So we had all that going on during the 1800s, right? And this is like, you know, we had like the Clark and whatever it was that, you know, the guys that journeyed across the country and to like, what, Lewis and Clark. And, you know, these guys are like trekking across the country, like discovering new lands. But it's like the cities were being built during that period. I mean, it's like they came up quickly, you know, it was wild. I don't think the story is true, but like, I think a lot of it is untold. Like, I think there's a lot of cities here already, and we just kind of inhabited it. But I'll leave that alone for now. What else happened during that period? Well, there was the gold rush on the West Coast in 1849, the gold rush in California. So it's like people were flocking across the country from all over parts of the world to come to California for the gold rush. So that's what apparently kicked off the development in California, like San Francisco. They credit the gold rush for San Francisco having been built, but San Francisco's that's been on maps for a lot longer than, you know, the 1800s. I mean, maps from the 1600s that have San Francisco it is now. It's like, so that the story, there's evidence that's been a city for a long time. It's my opinion that we have cities on top of cities. It's cities all the way down. And, you know, we just in the top city, but there's a city below that and a city below that, and just cities all the way down. And but so during the gold rush, like we had all the, you know, the Wild West, and these guys were like, you know, gold miners and gold mining, fucking rough and tumble, fucking gun slinging, you know, having duels in the street and bar brawling, card playing, fucking gambling, gold mining, rough and tumble, cathedral building cowboys. You know, there's always part of the story that seems to stand out as being odd. That doesn't quite, it's not, you know, congruent. So we had all that going on, right? The gold rush, the rough and tumble cowboy, cathedral building cowboys, and fucking San Francisco, and the Wild West, gold rush. And then we had the world fairs taking place in every state and every city, fucking massive fairs. You know, it was all this work that was put into them, and then they tore it down. And the cities were burning down and being rebuilt, you know, over and over throughout the whole country. Every city has a story of where the whole city burned down and had to be rebuilt. And then so all that was happening, and we had the gold rush and all this. Oh yeah, and let's not forget the fucking Civil War. We had a civil war during all that too. Okay, we had a civil war, And this is before we had like, electricity and like infrastructure, like for, I mean, apparently. But like, how do we have a civil war during all that other shit that was happening? I mean, how do we factor in time for a civil war while we're busy rebuilding cities and cities burning down and fucking world fairs and gold rush, and we're gonna have a civil war too? 100 years isn't that long. I mean, I've lived over 50 years in my life, and I don't feel that old. So I'm just saying, it's like in 100 years, it seems pretty wild that that much shit could have happened. And that was like in a time when we had like limited means. We didn't have diesel engines. We didn't have fucking. I mean, we had trains, but like all the same. I mean, it's. I don't understand how we managed to fucking like acquire all the materials for some of these buildings that were coming up in every state, dozens of them, at the same time. These beautiful like engineered buildings with these huge, massive stone. I mean, with all different kinds of marble and I mean, we had to quarry all kinds of granite. I mean, it's stuff that's not easily done. I mean, just the achievements are. It seems like they didn't get emphasized enough when I was growing up, getting my history teachings, and I'm learning about our country. And I don't remember hearing anything about all the brilliant engineers we had just on every fucking street corner in every city in the state. I mean, where we could all build uniformly, like whereas like every Capitol building is like built with the same theme and the same kind of idea, and it's like, but they were all different architects that didn't know each other, and somehow they all knew how to build the same kind of. I mean, where were they going to school? Like, I don't remember hearing any of this shit. There's just so much untold history, and it's like irritating. I'm thinking that like, the 1800s would be a good presentation if you could really get enough information together to like you'd have to make some like you'd have to have like one of them fucking what do they call it, like a spreadsheet, where you're showing like all the buildings that were coming up at the same time, because it's like a lot of the buildings were like mid 1800s. You could see that there's a Capitol building here popping up here all over the country, and then just get some crunch the numbers on like how many materials would have been needed for each building, and then and try to do a spreadsheet and like show where all the materials were coming from and where all the building which at what time periods all these buildings were coming up and who was responsible for what, and try to get as much information on a spreadsheet and just and then try to look at it logistically and just see if it makes sense and see if it adds up as like a believable story, which I don't think it will. Like I don't to be able to make all like how long if you're starting from the ground up when you land on a continent somewhere, and you might have a lot of knowledge already, but you're starting from the ground up. I mean, how long do you think it's going to take society starting from the ground up, landing here on a boat, before you're mass producing like iron I beams, for skyscrapers? I mean, how long do you think it'll take before you can do that? I mean, you might know that you can go like refine ore from like the rocks in the mountain. I mean, you might know how to acquire the means, the materials to make metal, but I mean, it's a process. I mean, there's chemistry involved and a lot of mining and refining, and just to be able to get the ingredients necessary to make iron I beams. I mean, it's there's a process that it takes a while, and just to be able to mass produce huge iron I beams, mass produce, for skyscrapers and bridges all over the country. I mean, it would take a while before you could really be hammering out that kind of shit. I mean, it's just I want to see it all on a spreadsheet. I want to know how much of it was actually documented, and like how that was achieved. Because you look at some of the old cities, and it's like you can see that they're built with foreknowledge of the fact that there's going to be a lot more people coming. Like they're zoned in a way where it's like you could see that they were built. It was zoned in a way that was expecting growth. It wasn't, or it was just like I don't know. It just looks like our country was started by such like professional, like it just becomes kind of difficult to really believe that we were like the simple rustic, like pilgrims that we were like taught, that founded our country. Like it doesn't, like there's really sophisticated creations, and like it just seems like it doesn't jive. Like, and the fact that there's no blueprints and engineering schematics for a lot of these really old buildings that are just mind-boggling when you look at them. It's like, how do they do this? And then it turns out they don't have any way to show how it was done. That's when a story really just falls apart. That's when there's no proof of it, or there's no evidence to support the story. It just becomes like just empty words, you know. And when it's like pertaining to like the structures that we live around, and it's like, that's weird. And you're like, where are we then? Like, whose place is this? Why don't we have records of how this stuff was built? I mean, you can see by looking at it, it was quite complicated, and it's an amazing achievement. These Capitol buildings are fucking brilliant. It's incredible the way they're adorned with. I mean, it's like they spared no expense, and they paid such attention to detail. And like some of these places, like the city hall in San Francisco, like I've seen footage where it's like the dome, like on the inside, like you have to get upstairs and then zoom in on it, and you can see there's detail work like on the ceiling where nobody would ever even notice it. On the floor, you can't resolve it. It's like far enough away from your eyes you can't even see. You have to get up on the second balcony and like zoom in with a camera to see the level of detail that was put into that building. It's like, why would it be so like just decked out, and to an extent where like you wouldn't even, the people that are going to be in there can't even see it. It's it's not even visible because the place is so big. You have to use gear to zoom in on it just to be able to appreciate it. Like, that's weird, man. What kind of people would do that? Like, how do they have so much time and such good, like, what was the mentality? I just want to know. It doesn't make sense to me. I experience mad amounts of cognitive dissonance when I see shit like that. I'm like, they put that much work into part of the building that wasn't even going to be seen? Why? Like, what is going on? That building, they claim that was built in 2 years, the San Francisco City Hall. Dude, that place is fucking incredible. I mean, these huge granite blocks. I mean, that shit's not easy to build. I mean, you can't, to cut huge granite blocks. I mean, that, and then transport them and get them there. And I don't know, man. There's a lot of that shit that just doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, post office palaces, yeah. Check out the palace post office in Mexico City. It's fucking incredible. It's so over the top. It's just mind-boggling. I think it was built in the same time period, you know, it said late 1700s, 1800s, and it's just like bedazzled, you know. I mean, it's gold and just like, it's just incredible. And it's a post office, you know, it's a palace. They call it the Palace Post Office in Mexico City. Now, do you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen that one? I should post some pictures of it because it's really cool looking. And, you know, it's just the same kind of story. There's an architect, and, you know, they don't give you enough details to make it believable. And when, you know, now when I'm looking at this stuff with a critical eye, I'm just like, well, I bet you anything there's no blueprints. The My Lunch Break channel kind of bugs me a little bit. I think his delivery is sort of, it almost kind of sounds like he's mocking his viewers sometimes, but like he's just so tongue in cheek. But I try to put that aside because the work that he's doing in regards to seeking out the blueprints and the actual, you know, the proof of these stories that we're supposed to believe, and he's finding that there's no existing blueprints for any of these old world buildings, like the Philadelphia Municipal Building, that building that just blows people's minds. They don't have blueprints for it. They don't know how it was done. They have a story, but they don't have proof for it. So, and you can find this shit in every city. I found a building in my city. It's called the Kenyatta Building. It's a brick building in downtown. And I looked up the history on it. It's a two-story brick building that was built by some Spanish dude that sold it in the 1800s, whatever the story. I bet you anything they don't have blueprints for it, because I happen to know it's not a two-story building. I went and did some investigation. I can look in the gutters on the street, and I can see the bricks keep going below the street. And there's windows. So for one thing, you don't make foundations out of bricks. And if you do, you don't put windows. So there was another floor to that, but that's a three-story brick building. The historical account says it's 2 stories, but I can see just by going there and investigating, you can see there's another story that's below the street level. So there's these kind of anomalies in every city, you know, and it's not something to just like, oh, you're just tripping. It's conspiracy theories. I mean, why are people lying about, like, why can I find a lie in my town? Like, there's a historical account that's wrong. I can go there and just prove it. I can even look down here in this gutter. You can see the bricks keep going below the street level. Did it say something about a brick foundation with windows in it? No, it didn't. And so there's a third floor below the street level. And, there's some other anomalous stuff going on with all that, but in my town. But I don't want to go on too much of a tangent. But my point I'm making is that there's stories that people insert into our history that aren't true. And why is that being done? I mean, you can find it in every town. In my little town of Los Gatos, I've already found an historical account that I can debunk just by going and investigating it. Not even for, I mean, I didn't even have to, do any digging. I just went and looked. I could see in the back of the building there was those little archways that are above the windows. There was some archways at the ground level on, and you could see a little part of the pavement where it was put in. It was like, well, there used to be a window right here, and it's at the floor level, and that's what made me look further into it. And I ended up finding where I could look through the gutter drains on the side of the road, and where we could see that it goes way down. The bricks go way below the surface of the street level. So it's not a two-story building at all. It's a three-story brick building. The historical account's wrong. And why would they tell a lie? Why? I mean, they just made up some story and put it in. It's just bizarre, dude. I'm going to go talk to the owner and see if he knows that it's a three-story brick building. I think that he would have to know. Yeah, the orphan trains, that's definitely another rabbit hole to go down, because that's not normal. It's not normal at all. And all the insane asylums, I mean, that's not what you would expect to see in a young society. Crazy people, like, just in every state, just like, I mean, hundreds of them. Like, that's not normal. That's not what you would see in a young society that's up and coming. It's no, that doesn't make sense. That's not what you would see. That's what you would see in a situation where the society is being reset, where there's actually an agenda going on that's dark. Because there's going to be people that aren't going to want to cooperate, and you're going to have to call them crazy. Well, you take their children and stick them in the orphanage, I mean, that was probably happening everywhere. People that didn't want to participate in the fucking bullshit history they were writing. At least that's a pretty good excuse for as to why that would have been like that, where there's so many insane asylums. Like, why? Like, what was happening that was making everybody go crazy? Like, what is the real story? I mean, because you can't take it at face value. It doesn't make sense. And what was the reason why everybody was going crazy today? I mean, I don't remember hearing any kind of like significant story that made me feel like I was being provided with information that made sense, that I could reconcile. And where it's like, oh, okay, that's why there were so many crazy people, because of what? I don't know. And that's like, that's before Big Pharma came along, really. I mean, that's kind of what Big Pharma. I mean, it's kind of like where this, the whole like, profession of like psychology and like, and the psych meds, that whole thing is all such a hoax. There's no science behind it. It's just a bunch of fucking rich Big Pharma fucking assholes just scheming. They just vote on what okay, this is a new condition that this is what we all are gonna agree to, and this is what dissociative disorder or whatever, and they're just making shit up, dude. And then just fucking with people and putting them on all kinds of drugs. There's no science behind any of it. I mean, maybe there's science, but it's not the science they're telling you. And they're convinced that, they can like fix you by making your body produce different levels of serotonin, all this different, they're going to mess with the way your body's regulating itself, and they think they know better than, God. Usually that's when things start going bad, is when you think you've outsmarted God. All right. Grand Canyon, yeah, it does look like a quarry. You're right, Justina. There's something really weird about the Grand Canyon. Yeah, I know. I have to throw toilet paper to get viewers. I have to do something crazy. I can't just sit here and talk crazy. I gotta be doing like something, throwing toilet paper. What's he throwing toilet paper at? I want to go watch. Why can't I surpass the toilet paper thrower guy? You just don't find it as amusing watching me ramble? So what's he throwing toilet paper at? How do you throw toilet, like throwing rolls of toilet paper? I'm interested. You got my interest. I mean, what's happening? What? How am I missing this? It's a guy throwing toilet paper at what? I want to know, dude. Crow fist. Get your crow fist out of here. Go watch your toilet paper hero. Fucking people. You know that the Jamba Juice logo that they have now, the new and improved Jamba Juice logo, is a rainbow 666. All you got to do is look at it sideways, because it's like a drink. You know, it's like it's like they have like a little swirl, and it looks like it's swirling down. It's like a drink. It's rainbow colored. But if you look at it sideways, it's just 3 6s, and they're rainbow. Just thought I'd share that with you. Jamba Juice. They must worship the devil. They have 666 in there, and it's just, you don't even have to like, you know, squint your eyes at all. It's just like right there. It's weird. Just have to look at it sideways. Oh, 666, huh? What does that have to do with Jamba Juice? It's weird. It's just yet another coincidence. You see 666 and all the corporate shit, because it's like the beast system, you know. I mean, it's like the corporate fucking reality is just, has zapped the soul out of it. You know, once it's become corporate, it's just it's just uniform, and it's just, there's no creative energy. It's fake. You have to be fake. You have to do this fake presentate. It's just fake, and it's not a real person that's responsible for the corporation. It's become its own entity, and it's a lifeless entity, and it's got no soul, and it's been stripped of soul, and it's uniform soullessness with fake presentation and cheap corner-cutting fucking policies and underpaid employees. And it's, once it's gone corporate, it's pretty much just, it's screaming just, we're the beast system, and we will consume you and we'll provide you with crap for top dollar. The corporate world is like the is the decline of a civilization. It's like when you see that, like, it's more about, you know, like the big money, where it's just like, well, we can just, like, you know, spread this formula across the whole nation and just skim off the top of everyone, and these people are just like, you know, they don't, there's so much greed and so much like short-sightedness. It strikes me as being the mindset of a really young civilization, society. I don't feel like we've descended from, you know, the ancestors that we see all these brilliant works around the world. Like, I mean, these creations that these people have made, that they've left behind, they were brilliant, and they were wise, and they knew things that we still don't know. And it just makes sense to me that we are not descendants from them, because why would we have lost all that wisdom? It doesn't make sense to me. Like, there's some huge parts of the story missing. Like, I think we live in like a terrarium or something, or like a huge air bubble that's rising up through the universe. You hate Quebec? Why? What happened there? I feel we are being farmed. Yeah, doesn't that seem like? I mean, there's something weird, man, with the reset discussion. I mean, it's like, I'm when I first heard it, I'm like, that's crazy. There's no way. How could that have been covered up? That doesn't make sense. And it's kind of hard to swallow. Like, Karen B brought up a good point. She's like, there's horse breeders that have been breeding horses in their family for like 500 years, and it's all like they have ledgers all the way back. You know, wouldn't they have mentioned something about a worldwide mud flood or something? It's like, yeah, you got a good point. You know, and there's probably a lot of incidents like that where it kind of screams in the face of like a worldwide reset, because these families were present, and they didn't say anything about it, so it's not in their records. And that's interesting. I don't think that's, I mean, I think that's an argument that should be considered when talking about this. It's a good point. And perhaps it wasn't like a worldwide thing, but I just feel like there's history that we haven't been told. Like we're being told that there was never giants here, for instance. There's so much evidence of that. I mean, I think most of the stuff that we consider myth, like the trolls that built bridges and lived under bridges and helped, these fucking massive, like David and Goliath type titans, and then there's fucking the men of renown and Zeus and, all these mythical things that you hear about, I mean, it's like, but so much weight was put on it. Like it was, these stories stood the test of time. I mean, and they're told as though they were true in the Bible, I mean, it's like there's stories of giants, in all our ancient literature, and we're supposed to just pretend that it was just, you know, story time, that there wasn't any truth in it. But then we see evidence of, you know, like buildings that would have been buildings that would be suitable for giants, like buildings that were built way excessively big, like beyond our needs, and we don't. Why would we have done that? There's not a good enough story to go. I mean, have you seen Milan Cathedral? It's so fucking big. I mean, it's just anybody that's normal size that enters that place is so dwarfed by its massiveness. Built back in the 1400s, like, we hadn't figured out how to install plumbing in our houses yet, but we could build these fucking massive cathedrals with this fucking opulence that would just, it just blows you away. I mean, we could put attention to detail and build these massive places that we weren't even going to be living in. Like, what? I mean, it doesn't make sense. And, I think it was built by a giant, or giants, or, superhuman, like Superman. People that had abilities that we don't have. And of course, people are going to want to take, I mean, you can think about it like, well, if we did acquire architecture that was left behind, like, of course, people are going to want to take credit for it, especially if we dug it out of the mud. See that cathedral over there? That's mine. I just finished getting it. I just finished, you know, making it available. I dug it out of the mud, all right? It's mine. I built it. I found it. And it founded it. So you'd want to claim it if it was you that dug it out of the mud, right? Data centers, like, that's the thing that we need to be paying attention to, is the global agendas. I hate that word global, but that's the worldwide agendas. All right, let's call it that. They call it globalism or whatever, but it's basically worldwide agendas. These people that have transcended the monetary system, and it's like these large scale operations where they're like spraying the sky worldwide every day. They're fucking rolling out 5G hardware worldwide. It's like trillions of dollars on this hardware to provide internet, a service that we already had. 5G towers worldwide. It's like, what? Why? To make it faster? And then the worldwide jabs, experimental injections. Everybody that's alive needs to get one. Everybody on Earth that's living needs to get this experimental injection. It's like this worldwide agenda. To have that many shots ready for that many people, it's just like so much work had to be put. I mean, so much money and work had to be put towards these agendas that are, the worldwide agendas. Now the data centers, you can see we're working towards something here. They have a plan already set in motion, and it's not something that any of us would have ever wanted. And it goes a lot deeper than what they've even. But what they provide on the surface level, like the fucking sustainable development. If you dig into all that literature, it's a lot of literature. I've just skimmed, but I've dug into certain parts of it, like the 15-minute cities. I mean, you dig into any one of those. There's like however many sustainable development goals. I forget how many. But each one of them is like a rabbit hole, and you can go down and find out all the little things that they want to have all. It's all together though as one big piece of work, but each goal has a whole rabbit hole of all these things, and AI is in every one of the goals. Like AI is playing a major central role in every part of it. And so obviously the data centers are important. And and then another thing is the these injections. Like they talk about injections a lot, and a lot of the goals because they want to bioengineer humanity. They want to like genetically manipulate people to be symbiotic with AI. I mean, this is what they list out in their sustainable development. Well, they talk about this shit in there, where AI it'll be living your life based on how AI is sort of like micromanaging your daily thing. You know, it's like they want to be able to like they think we're evolving into this new, you know, Homo Borg Genesis. Like this is what they really have. They have that. It's all spelled out for us to go read if we want, you know. But it goes even deeper than that. I mean, the stuff that they don't tell you about it, you know. But it's like the stuff that they do tell you about is already just whack. It's just dark, and it's stuff that I don't think anybody would really want. And it blows my mind how many people must be working on all this shit, you know, for it to all be like, because it's happening, you know. I mean, this is what their plan is, you know. That's why you can see things like our country, America, being destabilized by Trump and his manic behavior. It's like this is being allowed, you know. And it's like these decisions that Trump is making, they're not good decisions. It's not going to benefit us. It's he's doing things that are clearly like threatening the our country's stability, you know. And why is that being allowed, you know? Why? Because they want to build back better. You got to break everything first before you build back better. You got to make people suffer a little bit before you have to like offer them this solution that you've already prepackaged. You know, you have to have people going, "Oh, we need something different. This is all fucked up. Our political people are all crazy and they're fucking pedophiles and they ruined our, you know, our infrastructure has been neglected and we need a solution. We need someone to help us." Okay, well, how about AI governance and a 15-minute city? All you have to do is step up and get your jabs and fucking get monitored by AI every day, and you just tell you what to do, and you just be a little robot, good little robot. And you'll have owned nothing, and you'll be happy, and you'll be brainwashed, and you'll be conditioned to think that it's the best shit ever. I mean, they got it all figured out. Here's your prepackaged solution for the problem that we created for you. You know, society just went belly up. All our things fell through. It's like, oh, it didn't work, you know. Well, the people that ruined it are the people that designed your new thing that you're going to have. Like, I would never task the people that ruined something to make a new something for me. I think the solution will bring itself, and it'll be smaller communities. We don't need to be a worldwide community. But that's what I say we are. I mean, basically, the human race, you can summarize it like the human race. What we are right now, this batch of humans, we are the Antarctic Treaty. That's what the human race is, the Antarctic Treaty. Because that's what the human, as far as the human condition, like worldwide is concerned, like the whole thing, that's where that's the place where we've actually been able to agree as the entire human race. Like that's where we all are holding hands in peace together in the Antarctic Treaty. So we are the Antarctic Treaty. That's what the human population. That's our that's what we are. Basically, that's where we've all agreed to be. You know, like this is where we are here in the Antarctic Basin, and we've formed the Antarctic Treaty. Like all the drama that's taken place on the world stage is all just distractions because everybody's busy holding hands in peace out there on the perimeter. You know, just keep everybody all busy there inside this fucking terrarium while we just guard the perimeter and make sure nobody tries to leave. But you can't leave. I mean, there's like the sun is indicating that there's a limit here because the sun only goes so far, you know, and so beyond that, it's just got to be ice and like lifeless, cold. And that's what I believe, you know. Antarctica. I mean, I think Antarctica might be a continent, you know, but really the perimeter of a flat Earth would be icy because the sun wouldn't be going there, and so it would just be impassable. It'd be too cold. And as for the 24-hour sun, you know, it's like I think the Earth plane. I mean, it's like it's shaped like an oval, like an egg shape, you know, and it's like the analemma. you know, is the infinity symbol. You know, it's like a inside that egg shape. You know, the cosmic egg. But we're in like a toroidal field. It's like this. It's cycling within and without. It's like this perpetual yin yang motion we got going. Like if you turn the yin yang sideways and make it 3D, it's in the shape of a toroid. That's what the yin yang is. If you make it 3D, you can see that it's it's showing the motion of a toroidal vortex or whatever you call that. You know, we're on the plane of inertia. The scientist, yeah, the scientist. I can't imagine like actually being one of these guys that has to like go around and preach this fucking cosmology like Neil deGrasse and these clowns. I mean, they have to know they're full of shit, right? I mean, you can't really believe all that shit. Fucking clown. It's all a deception. Dirt Nap Shorty, what's up? I like your screen name. Yeah, I think there used to be like a civilization here that sort of gifted us with a lot of knowledge. Like I think that was like, like they say like fallen angel tech or whatever. Like that's what they say in the stories. Like they came down here with the knowledge of like metallurgy and like electricity. I mean, we've known about electricity for a long time. Like there's ancient symbols that that show us, like the fucking the snakes on a pole, like I've said before, like the fucking caduceus. It's like an old symbol. They talk about it in the Bible even. It's like old ass symbol. That caduceus, the snakes on a pole. That represents electricity because a snake is a copper wire. That's what you call a wire, a snake. So there's snakes on a pole. Well, you have copper wires around a magnetic pole, like a magnet. You put copper wires around a magnet pole, you have electricity. Snakes on a pole, it's currency. That's how you get electricity, copper and magnets. The caduceus is showing you how to make electricity. The caduceus is a sign that shows you how to make electricity, currency. The snake's on a pole, the dollar sign. The dollar sign is a snake on a pole. It's currency. It's showing you electricity. Like we've had this stuff buried in our fucking languages, our symbol. It's like the knowledge of stuff that that's claimed to be more of like a more recent invention. It's been encoded in the stuff that our language and our symbols that we've been using for fucking a lot longer than we've supposedly had the technology. So how did that work? I mean, how is the knowledge of electricity encoded in our ancient symbols and we didn't even discover electricity till more recently? Like that just, what the fuck's going on? It's just like, whoa, that's a neat coincidence that the dollar sign means currency and it's a snake on a pole, which is also how you would create currency, electric currency. Is it just a coincidence? Oh, that's neat how that worked. No, it's all like occulted information. They know this shit. I'm saying the history we've been taught is a crock of shit. But then I start thinking maybe a lot of it's true, but they left so much vital information out that they wrote a story kind of. And there's certain real characters that appear in the story, like Einstein. Like the dude seems kind of like a fraud to me, but I think he might have been a pretty clever guy and everything. But like Jaronism made this point one time. He's saying the guy you never see Einstein speak like just from off the top of his head or from his heart, or like say something, just make a speech where he's like spitting some profoundly brilliant information. Usually he's reading off some note card. He's not reading very well. Like he's like makes mistakes and stutters, and he's not ever really saying anything that's very brilliant or like inspiring. It strikes me as being like profound, and he's always reading, and he's not very good at reading when he's talking. And so I'm just like, what? That doesn't. I mean, the stories that we get to, that we have to like sit with are just stupid. Like, this guy, he's fucking the most brilliant man, and like when you listen to him talk, he seems like a stuttering fool. And he's reading off note cards. I mean, does he have anything of his own to say? I mean, like, why would that's our smartest person? Give me a break. I just wonder if any of it's true. I don't. There's a lot of people say like Einstein is brilliant, but I think what he was brilliant at doing was just finessing like science and like making finessing the the fine whatever, like the small stuff, this the sweat the petty, or pet the sweaty, or whatever. Like, he was sweating the petty. He was the guy that was in there, like, crunching all the numbers and figuring out, that basically you can't prove the Earth is rotating around the sun from your reference point of the Earth. It's after all his number crunching and all his fucking science and all his fucking, you know, his theory, special theory of his relatives or whatever, all his relatives that he had theories about, and all this stuff that he broke down, all these chalkboards full of equations, all this science, and what he came to the conclusion before he died, he said this: I've come to the conclusion that there's no way to prove the motion of the Earth around the sun from our vantage point of here on the Earth. It's impossible to prove the Earth's in motion around the sun. Although it is, I found that there's no way to prove that motion or detect that motion or scientifically, empirically show that that's what's happening. He came to the conclusion after all his number crunching and all his fucking scientific finessing, like, he just came to the conclusion that this can't be proven. And then he, of course, he said, well, although it is going around the sun, like he wanted to emphasize the point. Although I can't prove this, this is the truth. It's like, that's what you say when you're like pushing propaganda, like, because if you can't prove it, using empirical science, then your theory isn't really a theory. It's like, it's not even really a hypothesis. Like, if your hypothesis can't be proven, then it doesn't graduate to theory. Like, it doesn't even make it that far. If you have a hypothesis that the Earth is in fact in motion around the sun, and not the other way around, the way it looks, the way the sun looks like it's moving over us, if you think your hypothesis is that the Earth is in motion around the sun, and then you discover that you cannot detect any of that motion, and there's no way to detect it or like see that that's what's happening. There's no way to really do it other than just to observe the sun and come to the conclusion that you think that's what you're seeing, and then have to come up with like a whole slew of scientific fucking unfalsifiable theory, hypotheses, and how to make that. Well, we live on a ball that's spinning. Come on, man. Like, the fact that you can't detect that motion that you originally said was taking place, you should start right there and just be like, okay, well, since we can't prove that the Earth is flying around the sun, then that hypothesis is null and void for now. If suddenly, you figure out how to leave this frame of reference and you can go up and witness this motion that the Earth is making around the sun, then you can revisit your hypothesis. But they just stuck with it, and then they just decided, well, we're going to have to prove it. We're going to have to go to the moon and show people that you can go land on a ball that's floating in emptiness, and you can go land on it anywhere and just go walk around like it's just Earth. So people will be like, oh, well, you can go land on a ball and walk around. Oh, cool. So Earth must be a ball. That's why they did it. And they did a lousy job. It was fake. I mean, it's possible if something was 93 million miles away and it was as big as, that's what I say. It's like, if all the stuff they say is true, then it's true. But the thing is, you can't verify it. So you just have to accept it as being true. So the people that think the Earth is a globe, they don't know. They just believe. They believe the Earth is a globe, and they're free to do that all they want. I used to think that too. But the thing is, they know that the Earth is level, non-rotating plane. Everybody knows that intuitively, and I've been able to prove that to my satisfaction. Even the anti-flat earthers fall right into my trap. The line of questioning that I lay on them, it's just really basic, fundamental inherent knowledge that we all have. Like, when you draw a circle on the ground, you can't draw a smaller circle around the outside of it. So you just extrapolate that simple knowledge all the way out. Doesn't matter how big of a circle you draw on the surface of the earth, you're never going to be able to draw a smaller circle around the outside of it. And that's obvious intuitive knowledge. And therefore the earth's surface cannot form a sphere, because on a sphere, concentric circles can only get so big. They get as big as the median, and then they get smaller after that. And even though you're still expanding outward, you're going to have a smaller perimeter around. That would be the caveat of having a ball that you live on, where you basically experience a level plane everywhere you go. It's like there's certain things that would have to happen on a ball Earth that just cannot happen on a realm that presents itself as being planar, such as Earth. One of those things is for concentric circles to ever do anything but get bigger. On the surface of the Earth right now, if we made concentric circles, those circles could only get bigger. Because whenever we finish a circle, if there's more Earth beyond that circle, then we know we can keep making bigger circles. And that's how it's going to be the whole time, until we run out of room or something. But that circle can never get smaller. And that's because the Earth presents itself as being planar. So it's impossible for the Earth's surface to form a sphere. Logically, it can't logically form a sphere. And if I have to believe that's what happens, then I have to depart from what I expect to be reality, and apparently what everybody else expects to be reality. Because everybody I've asked this line of questioning always gives the correct answers, which are flat Earth answers. Even the anti-flat Earth, the haters, they all give the flat Earth answers unknowingly until I get to the end, and I'm like, oh, welcome back to flat Earth, and they're like, what? Change all their answers and backpedal, but it's too late at that point. So I've been able to prove to my satisfaction that everybody is intuitively a flat earther. They might think the Earth is a globe or believe it's a globe, but they intuitively know that it isn't. And once I point that out to them, they get frustrated and they call me stupid. But I think it's funny, because they're arguing in favor of something that they haven't even thought through. And in fact, when they don't even think that it's true intuitively, they don't even, because they know that when you draw a circle on the ground, you can't draw a smaller circle around the outside of it. They agree with me all the way through it until I tell them, welcome to flat Earth, and they're like, oh, wait a minute. And then they say, oh, of course you can do a smaller circle, because look, on the globe, and they explain to me what I already know, and I'm like, yeah, I know. But that doesn't make sense. But, the thing is, they intuitively answered the correct way, which is a flat Earth answer. So what I'm proving with my line of questioning is that everybody is intuitively a flat earther. While they might think or believe the Earth is a globe, they haven't even thought that through to the extent where it's like, where they interact with Earth. Like, nobody ever has to factor in the curvature or the motion of the Earth. They never have to factor that into their life whatsoever. And so therefore it's a moot point at best. Anyways, I gotta go to bed. Love you guys. Stay flat.